We got breaking news to discuss here on Saints Now by Chat Sports. As always, I'm your host, Trizzy Trace Giroud. 5 roster moves made by Kellen Moore and Mickey Loomis, but the most notable was the change made at kicker. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. Make sure you drop a like and hit the sub button, and let's break it on down. Blake Grupe has been released by the New Orleans Saints. Friendly reminder, he beat Will Lutz out in a kicker battle a few years ago. He has been the kicker for the New Orleans Saints. There's been some other bodies who have challenged him since he took over as a starter, but this season has been disastrous for Blake Grupe. So the Saints are going out with the old, in with the new, and welcome LSU legend Cade York to the special teams department. He has been signed to the practice squad, and in response to these moves, the Saints have made a flurry of other ones. So we're going to break it down throughout the entire duration of this video, so I highly encourage you to stick around. Multiple roster moves today, offense, defense, special teams. We got to discuss it all here on the channel. But let me just start off first by recapping the kicker news. Blake Grupe cut, Cade York signed. If you agree with this decision that the New Orleans Saints made, hit the thumbs up icon and drop a like today. Now, this is one of those moves that needed to be made. I wanted to make it very, very clear here. We are not going to be dunking on Blake Grupe. We are not going to be dragging him through the dirt. No matter how you feel about him, that's not something that I am going to be doing. But I will tell you right now, this was a move that not only was necessary, but it was a move that was needed to be made by the New Orleans Saints. What he's been doing from a football standpoint is unsustainable and unacceptable. And quite frankly, an upgrade was way overdue for the kicker position. And in my personal opinion, Blake Grupe in 2025, he's been bad. He hasn't really been that clutch since he was signed by the New Orleans Saints, or since he was signed as a UDFA and then beat out Will Lutz. And then now you're seeing Will Lutz ink an extension, and he's still playing at an extremely high level. So it is a little bit of a kick in the nugs, if you will, to see that happen. But I want to make something explicitly clear here. Human element of all of this makes it a tough decision. Blake Grupe was asked about all of the issues and what's been going on and why he thinks that there's been problems, and he said his process hasn't changed. He said he'll live and die by his process. He said that he also isn't totally sure what's going on because in practices and in warm-ups, he said he's perfect, but once the lights get on and the whistle blows to start the game, he starts looking like a deer in headlights. And unfortunately for Blake Grupe, this is why the New Orleans Saints moved off of him. And when you talk about what could have happened at the kicker position, the Saints brought in Justin Tucker. They brought in Cade York. So there was options available for the New Orleans Saints. I even listed a handful of options for the black and gold, and I included both Cade York and Justin Tucker on that list on Overreaction Monday. So never wrong, just early here at Saints Now. And I got to say, thank God we didn't sign Justin Tucker. Like, I'm just very happy that we did not subscribe to the issues and sign up for the off-field distractions that could potentially be there. We're not going to talk about everything with Justin Tucker because he's not a part of this team. But you know who is? LSU legend Cade York. I know a lot of y'all are very familiar with his game. I know a lot of y'all rooted him on when he was in Louisiana playing for LSU and helped win a national championship. And since then, he was drafted by the Browns in the 4th round, has bounced around the league, spent some time all over the place. And he was on the Bengals practice squad last year. And ultimately, when it comes to what he did in 2024 for the Washington Commanders, he was bad. Only 1 game played, missed 2 field goals, but he was perfect in extra points. However, when he gets to Cincy, missed an extra point. Better in the field goal percentage. His field goal percentage in Cincinnati was about 81.8%, so about 82%. That's a respectable field goal percentage, but it's still a little bit inconsistent. All in all, in 6 games played, he went 69.2% success rate from the field goal standpoint, and he had 43 total points. All in all, I'm not going to sit here and say that this saves everything. I still believe the Saints should bring in kickers in the offseason to potentially bring in some challenges and see if you can get somebody better, because I do find it interesting that Cade York hasn't been able to land anywhere. So I'm not going to say everything is solved and everything is fixed, but for the time being and for the remainder of the season, the Saints made the necessary decision to upgrade at the kicker position. Now, another name that was in the fold was Charlie Smith, the internal option who's currently on the practice squad. He's a part of the International Pathway program, and he's a player that the New Orleans Saints have taken looks at before in training camp, in the preseason. We've seen him get on the field, just not in the regular season. So I do find it interesting that Cade York had a successful workout and beats out Charlie Smith. To me, that says that Kellen Moore and the New Orleans Saints don't have enough faith to put Charlie Smith on the field. And that isn't going to turn into a we hate Charlie Smith and he's not good. I don't want that to be the conversation of the discourse. But it is interesting that the New Orleans Saints opted to go with the guy who was off the roster rather than somebody who was internally been here for a couple of years. Now, and when it comes to special teams as a whole, I know graphic says I know that they needed to desperately upgrade at kicker. They need to upgrade everything. Special teams coordinator needs to be better. Zach Wood, pretty much the only safe guy in special teams, in my personal opinion, your long snapper. But punter needs a massive upgrade. Kai Kroger is terrible. He's last in the league when it comes to punting. Blake Grupe, he's gone. So we can now move forward. But I still think that that's a position that needs to get continued attention to potentially upgrade. And on top of that, Phil Galliano, he sucks. Get him out, and let's get a new special teams coordinator. I miss Darren Rizzi, and quite frankly, the New Orleans Saints made a great decision, but it sucks that we had to make a decision in general. I would have liked to just see a kicker succeed. For what it's worth, I also will give a lot of credit to Blake Grupe. He thanked New Orleans. Got to give him some love there. He said nobody wanted it to work out more than him, although he is now going to be off into new adventures with his football career. Now, if you want more updates and news around the black and gold, I highly encourage you to subscribe to the channel right here, right now, for 100% free content by Saints fans for Saints fans. If you haven't subscribed already, I don't know what you're doing. Hit the sub button and lock us in for free. Now, coming up, we got more roster moves. We've gone through 2 out of the 5, so we have 3 more to discuss. Couple players waived, another guy signed. We got a new wide receiver. Gonna break it down here in just a second. First things first, guys, the holidays are right around the corner, and I know that you're still doing some holiday shopping. For what it's worth, I just sent my parents my Christmas list, and this was at the top of the list. A Cam Jordan signed helmet. You can get yours on sale, 30% off today if you click the link in the comments and description of this video. It's one of the mini helmets. It has his autograph. It's the fresh black one that we just got to see in the all-black uniforms. I know the Saints lost, but I think that this helmet is fresh. I think that you need to get yourself or a loved one a brand new gift. And what better way to celebrate Cam Jordan's awesome year and the end of his career than getting some autograph memorabilia? Click the link in the comments down below, chatsports.com/Cam Jordan sale to get your Cam Jordan autographed mini helmet for 30% off today and today only. Make sure you don't miss out on the sale. Now, Samori Toure, he's the wide receiver who was signed to the New Orleans Saints. He's kind of been all over the place. 7th-round pick out of Nebraska by Green Bay back in 2022. Mostly serves as a special teams guy. Has spent time with the Bears. Has spent time with the Broncos. And he hasn't actually taken a snap since 2023 when he played with the Denver Broncos. And I'm not going to sit here and say that he is somebody who's going to be a massive contributor. I am not going to tell you this saves the season. In the short that I put out earlier, have a little bit of fun. I said that this saves the season. The season's back on. We're going to the Super Bowl. We're winning the division. We're winning out. But realistically, Samori Toure, not ultra productive. 13 catches over his career, 160 yards, 1 touchdown. I think the most that he could offer is some special teams ability. And to be totally honest, I would be shocked to see if him actually get elevated to the active roster. But it is interesting because you do need to get rid of some guys on the practice squad. Toure, by the way, he is added to the practice squad for New Orleans. So 1 wide receiver in, another one out, and it's Tulane legend jha'quan Jackson. He has been released by the New Orleans Saints, signed on November 19th. So less than a week later, he gets to New Orleans, and then he is out. He, in my opinion, is a pretty solid return guy. I kind of thought that he would be somebody who would stick around on the roster for a little bit, considering he went to Tulane and he's been around with the Saints before. And, you know, I do think that Rashid Shaheed being traded and Brandon Cooks being cut, did open up the ability to bring in and utilize a player like jha'quan Jackson. But you do get that nice utilization from a player like Mason Tipton. So when it comes to the updated wide receiver depth chart, 4 names are on the active game day roster as we speak. Obviously, you could expect Dante Pettis to be elevated as a game day elevation. He was last week, served as a return specialist for the Black and Gold. But Olave, Devon Vele, Mason Tipton, Kevin Austin Jr., those are going to be your 4 wide receivers on the depth chart. And when it comes to the practice squad, you do have a few players that you can elevate. Obviously, Samori Toure, he is the newest member. Dante Pettis, he's already been elevated before. And Ronnie Bell, the 25-year-old receiver, is also available at the disposal of the New Orleans Saints offense. Look, I think that when it comes to wide receiver, it is probably the biggest need this offseason. I would say when it comes to positions you have to address and have to prioritize, I would say wide receivers, interior offensive linemen, dare I say running back. I mean, the Saints definitely need a spark on the offensive side of the football specifically. And quite frankly, they need guys who can create explosive plays and be just absolute ballers. Like that's just something that the Saints are missing. They don't have any dogs. They don't have enough high-end talent. And for the New Orleans Saints, they just need to get better. So we're missing a roster move. Trace, I'm only going to 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, here it is. It's Iku Leota, the linebacker. He has been waived or has been released. Edge rusher, linebacker type player. That is in response to Cade York being signed to the practice squad. Obviously, you bring some guys in, you got to let some guys go. It's kind of the juggling, if you will, the 6-7, if you will, of the roster for the New Orleans Saints. But a lot of moves, 5 total in today. So to recap, Blake Grupe was released. Cade York was signed to the practice squad. jha'quan Jackson released from the practice squad. Samori Toure signed to the practice squad. And linebacker, edge rusher, Iku Leota, he was released as well. So here's a recap of all the roster moves for the New Orleans Saints today. And if anything else happens, we'll make sure you are informed. So let me know in the comments, what's the next move the Saints need to make to improve the roster? Put on your GM cap. Let me know your thoughts. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in to today's video. I hope y'all are having a wonderful week leading up to Thanksgiving. A lot of awesome content still to come out throughout the week. My name is Trizzy Trace Giroud for my guy Loco Lopez. Y'all stay golden, and we'll see you next time.